Listen, I'm delivered. I want you to know that. Here's my story. Life and favor. Thank you for bringing me out. You don't know. You think you know, but let me tell it. Life and favor up on me. God, thank you for your mercy.
Welcome to Breaking the Silence, a program where we discuss the issues of sexual and domestic violence. What we try to do is get women to start thriving, to start healing. We're going to speak with Gail Gardner. She is the director of RAFA. It's a soul care and empowerment institute right here in Orlando, Florida. Katherine Wrenfro is with us today. She is a survivor of sexual abuse and abuse, period, because she's got a very relatable, very awesome story. But I wanted to get with Gail and just find out more about RAFA. Soul Empowerment. I love the title.
RAFA Soul Care and Empowerment Institute. RAFA means healing in Hebrew, and I purposely made it large letters, you know, capital letters and an exclamation point, because that's what we're doing. We're healing.
Healing.
We're moving. We're
moving forward.
Yeah. We're not, you know, wasting our time. And soul care, the word soul, the Latin word is psychic. And so we're talking about caring for the psyche, caring for the mind.
And it is true, because we've spoken with other counselors that have said, as a man thinketh, so is he. So we want a person that has been a victim to begin thinking themselves a survivor.
That's right. And it's about renewing the mind from a pastoral perspective and Christian counseling. Without the therapist entity to it, you are basically using some things that come into play from scriptures and getting to relate people to those scriptures if that's where their values are. Okay.
Which brings me to the point, what is the difference between a mental health counselor and a pastoral care counselor?
A pastoral care counselor is dealing basically with those things that are on the surface that people come to a pastor, and you don't have to be a pastor to do this. But I went to school, Liberty Theological Seminary, which is part of Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. And you take that part that relates to your person sitting in front of you, and being that you have the values that they have, and you do not, if they don't have those values, you don't force your values on them, but you accept their values from where they are. And what I'm looking at these days is that those of us who are prepared to do this, we don't see enough of people that look like us, and they don't see enough of us. And so I'm also the bridge. RAFA Soul Care is the bridge in my community and in the community of color at large to close that disparity, that gap.
Because what she's saying also is that as RAFA, she will be the first line of defense. You may come to her for pastoral care, but if Ms. Gardner thinks that you need a little more assistance from a licensed mental health counselor, she can refer you out.
Yes, definitely, and that would be the responsible part, because I do not have a license to do that, but I'm a certified pastoral counselor. Now, people have to make a choice. If that's what they want to do, great. I can only take you so far if I see where there's a connection, and 99.9% of the time, that issue that's on the surface is not the real issue. There's usually a more
that underlying
comprehensive, deeper issue, and that's where I have to say, you know, we need to see if we can use some help. I do consult with professionals if people choose not to go to a professional, but I do not, after 5 or 6 sessions, that's your next move, or you might feel that you're ready to go out and make that decision maybe another time if you need to. It may not be the case. Maybe just something like going home and praying about it and asking God to show you what you need to do on your part.
Do you find that as a pastoral care counselor, African Americans will come to you quicker than they will to a licensed mental health counselor?
I believe that they do, and as I heard Dr. Maxine Rudock say, it's about relationships. I build a relationship with the community. I build a relationship with the church. The individual churches in the community. I build a relationship with people of color and of other resources that can help people of color, whether they're resources that are from the same entity. But there's still a wall.
There is.
There's still those myths, this trust, all of that, and if you go outside of your beliefs, you're a Christian, you don't have to go, that's what if you go to a humanist counseling, a psychologist, that's a whole nother bag of issues and tools that it should not be related to if you have Christian values. Now, if you don't have Christian values, you might go to Muhammad, I don't know, but, and I respect that. But you need to know where I'm coming from, and I may, we can talk about everything that you're dealing with, but I may not have what you need, but I can help you to get to where you might want to go on to do that for yourself, because I respect your values.
What do you think is the deciding link that can bring mental health counseling into the African American community? Would it be through the church? Would it be through making more mental health counselors look like us? So that means inviting more of them into the field.
Work is that bridge to do all of that. For one thing, if you want to, whether you go to church or you live with people who go to church or you were raised by people who went to church, everybody feel like they have a connection with the church. I have gone to the church, and this is where is my field, not only in the neighborhoods and the communities and doing outreach in different organizations, but I go to the source. If there's a ministerial alliance, I go to them. I have been to them. Go to pastors door by door, one by one, and talk about, and they all agree that there are issues, and they don't have the time to talk to everybody.
Sure.
Or the skill. I mean, it's overwhelming. And sometimes, the Bible tells us that we are to edify the body of Christ. And Sunday after Sunday, and the same people go to the altar, and Sunday after Sunday you're preaching, and some people, you grow at your own pace. But a lot of times there's what we call in the clinical world, they call stuckness. Stuckness means you're stuck somewhere, wherever that trauma happened, that's where you're stuck. You could be 40 years old, 50 years old, and still act very childish about some things. And can't get over that, and don't know why. We said, well, why is Sister so-and-so still do this, and we can't get her to do that, and she still got this attitude. She still, because she might have been stuck, and if you, the numbers are not there. But I am right now in the process with the University of Central Florida and Dr. John Robertson and a few others, trying to piece together data for communities just in separate, one community here, another community, one community at a time, to find out any numbers as to how many people have been victims of sexual abuse.
I bet you'd find those numbers to be extremely high.
Listen, I go to the event, and they introduce that I'm in the audience, and then I deal with a lot of times if you need someone to come speak about sexual abuse. I'm a grassroots activist.
Okay.
So I don't go out as a professional. I go as a grassroots activist, trying to bring together the disparity. So they announce, and people, they clap and say, you need to see somebody. Good place to start is with her. During it, break time, I go to the bathroom. I got 5 or 6 women following me to the bathroom, telling me they want to tell me their story, and I give them my card, and you'd be surprised, I might get one that'll call me, because somewhere along the line, and I believe that this is spiritual. It's physical and spiritual, and it operates together. Somewhere along the line, that drops out of their mind. Well, I've been all right. Dealt with it all this long, and God is doing it. And sometimes we use religion to suppress some things.
Say it.
You know, religion. Like we use alcohol and drugs.
Yes.
The prostitute out on the corner. She might have gone through some traumatic things in her childhood, and she uses drugs. And what's the difference if you have not come to grips with the fact that there's some things God heals, but God heals and uses many different resources. He didn't send people to school and you know.
Or create medicines for
create
antidepressant,
medicine,
etc.
Yes, if you can believe God without it, great. Everybody can. And we can get on that gravy train, great. But the same way we go to the doctor for any other part of our bodies, we need to see somebody sometimes to help us straighten out our thinking about our head. And we may not need a doctor, we might just need a counselor.
And then also that self-talk, that tape that's always on start in our brain that develops our self-worth.
Yes.
That tells us how good we are. That tells us how good we will be at something. Sometimes that just shuts down in a woman who's been abused, or a man or a child who's been abused. And how do you think, Katherine, you can survive with that tape just zoop?
You can survive, but the thing is, you're still suppressing a whole lot of things that has taken place. You know, that you're not getting delivered from. In other words, let me give you an example. I have a daughter. She'll be 33 years old on Monday. She had 2 weeks before graduation. She had already been scouted out just before she went into the WNBA professionally. And she was sexually assaulted and molested by 8 guys on the football team. So this just ruined her career. It traumatized her to the point where she can't even look at basketball right now. So as a mother, you know, to have gone through all of that, I actually had to just try and love her through a lot of that. I actually, you know, sought out counseling for her and everything. And but now you can tell when they're still under that thing that they've gone through, because they have the tendency, you can always tell that they're wearing the mask, you know. So it's just to a point where, you know, you have got to have a support system. You have to have that support system. You can't just survive with this thing. You have to get out and get some help. You know, if you're in a domestic situation, get some help. You know, seek out some help. Don't just hold it inside, because this thing can cause you, you know, it has like suicidal tendencies, you know. And, you know, you're suppressed, you're depressed, just like I said, you know, you're oppressed. So you have to get some help. You have to get some help. You know, don't let this thing, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that out of the heart, all the issues, you know, within us, within oneself, you know, comes from the heart. So the battleground, the enemy has the usage of your mind. So you actually have to just go out and seek some help to try and get freedom from this. It's
changing the
imperative.
When we change the way we think, we change the way we behave.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
it.
And we also will change the people that are attracted to us.
Yes, definitely. And we also, the first mode of healing comes from disclosure.
Yes.
Being able to talk about it, and the more you talk, you find that memories. The thing people are afraid of is the memories.
That's it.
Yes,
they don't want to face the memories.
Is also a victim, and my granddaughter. It was in my family from one person, and so I can talk to her all day long, and she can talk to her daughter all day long, and neither one of them moved out. But I'm determined that that curse will be broken.
Yes, it's a generational thing. It has to be broken.
Yes, because for somewhere along the line for this to continue, someone's not telling. Adults who can stop it are not believing. we're living in the past.
Yes.
That's right.
And we're treating this like we would during our grandma's times.
That's right.
Counseling is not new age. Counseling is something that's been around. Jesus Christ counseled, his disciples. It's a matter of believing that somebody with more information, more knowledge than you can assist you.
Yes.
And you have organizations like RAFA, the Soul Empowerment Institute. You have sisters like Katherine Wrenfro, who is going to share just a bit of her story now with us, to just tell us that you can heal. How did you go about healing? First, tell us briefly your story, and then how your healing process began.
I actually suppressed that thing for a long time.
Your first time being abused was at the age of 5.
5 years old, yes. That was the first time I had been sexually abused. And it was by a relative. And you know how there are times when you put your trust in people that you have no idea that these are going to be the people that are going to victimize you. So it was just to a point where, when it happened, I was told if I said anything about it, that what he was going to do to me and everything. So I got to the point where I actually shared it with my mom, but she didn't believe it. She just kind of like, well, my mother didn't talk about it, her mother's mother didn't talk about it, so
so she's not going to
just
talk
forget
about
it. Right, exactly. So I was in a ministry where my pastor was saying that he couldn't figure out why I had these, there were times when I would have outbursts, like I would cry, and there were times of lashing out at people or what have you. There were times where I would go days, months, weeks at a time without talking, but he was the one that called me one day, and I had just had an experience of the outburst, just crying. Yes. So he gave me a call, and when he gave me that call, he just said to me, he shared to me, he said, Kat, I have been, praying before the Lord, seeking the Lord for the last 3 days as far as what's going on with you, because you keep it blocked, keep it blocked out, So when he said that, he says, what is it that you've gone through in your childhood that has caused you, to react in those ways? And as soon as he said that, I just got silent. I didn't say anything. But he was the one that actually brought it out. Yes. And when he brought it out, I just started crying, and he said, well, this needs to come out because you suppressed it so many years. And, through him, and I thank and praise God for him, that he was the one that was actually, to help me through that. So he was my support system. He was my support system.
So we have churches that have pastors there that can provide the care and concern for you. You have counselors inside your churches. You have places like Harbor House that take care of women who have been domestically violated. You have
Victim Service Center.
You also have Rafa Soul Care and Empowerment Institute. The mission is to pull you through, to get you to the other side. There is healing available. There's hope available, but you've got to maintain that last ounce of strength to pick up a phone and call someone. What's the number for Rafa Care?
You can call me confidentially. You do not have to give your name, or you can text me. The number is 407-485-6673. I'm always available, and I will return your call more than soon as possible, because I don't want you lingering and the enemy to steal that that opening for you, where that light began to shine, and say, I think I need to do something about this.
Joy comes in the morning. Would you not say that?
Yes, it does. It does. It may not be instantly or immediately, but the thing is, just as God did it for me, I'm here to help somebody, so you may be delivered from this thing that you are going through.
This
with
burden.
The victimization, yes. And, the cycles that you go through, the outbursts with the crying. And, it's at a point where it's like a caterpillar in a cocoon. In order for that caterpillar to be a butterfly, that caterpillar has to come out of that cocoon, which is a shell that you go into when this thing happens to you. That shell could be depression, it could be oppression, it could be suppression. But the thing is, once that caterpillar comes out of that cocoon, there's a beautiful butterfly there, you know, with all different colors. So, you know, this is what
healing is all
about.
So we know that healing can begin.
Yes.
All right, Katherine Wrenfro, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your transparency. Yes. And Gail Gardner with Rafa, a certified pastoral care counselor. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And I'm Monica May, your host, and together we can break the silence.
I want you to know that. Here's my story. Life in favor. Thank you for bringing me out. You think you know, but let me tell it. Life in favor. Up on me. God, thank you for your mercy.